This lesson is about making family cakes. I've called them that because over the years they've proved to be popular with people of all ages. And the first recipe is a sticky prune and date cake, and it's a real winner. This is another melted cake mixture, starting off with 200 grams of block butter. Then we're adding 175 grams of chopped dates, 125 of ready-to-eat prunes chopped, 75 grams each of currants and raisins, followed by 200 ml of water. And then 300 grams of condensed milk. Now allow everything to melt and blend together. Then bring it up to the boil and let it simmer for about 3 minutes. Give it a stir now and then to prevent the mixture from catching. After that, remove it from the heat. Whilst it's cooling, sift 110 grams of wholemeal flour and the same of plain flour onto a plate. The wholemeal bran will be left in the sieve, so just add that into the rest. Now add a pinch of salt and half a level teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. Then just add these ingredients to the cooled, melted mixture and give everything a really good mix. Lastly, mix in a rounded tablespoon of chunky marmalade. This time we're using a 20cm deep round loose-based tin with a base liner just as before. But because the cooking time is longer, we're also using a side liner, which helps to protect the cake and stop it sticking to the sides of the tin. Just spoon the mixture into the tin and smooth out the top with the back of a tablespoon. Bake the cake on a low shelf of a preheated oven for 1 hour and 50 minutes. Let the cake cool in the tin for 5 minutes before turning it out onto a cooling rack. When the cake is completely cold, gently heat 1½ tablespoons of chunky marmalade with half a tablespoon of water and brush it over to give a bit of added shine and stickiness. This is a very moist, very sticky cake with a dark toffee flavour. It keeps beautifully stored in an airtight tin, but as you might expect, it sometimes disappears rather quickly. In this lesson, we're continuing with stickiness. This is a traditional English oatmeal parkin. First of all, you measure out 225 grams of golden syrup and 50 of black treacle, which have been warmed to make it easier. Now add 110 grams of block butter and the same of dark brown sugar. The pan then goes onto a gentle heat and it's all melted together. This time we're not going to boil the mixture, so don't go away, keep an eye on it and give it a stir every now and then. Meanwhile, sift 110 grams of self-raising flour into a mixing bowl. Add 225 grams of medium ground oatmeal, 2 level teaspoons of ground ginger, a pinch of salt, then gradually stir in the warm syrup mixture. When it's all blended, next add a beaten egg and a tablespoon of milk. This is an 18cm loose-base tin, and this time we're using a pleated liner as the cake can be stored in it later. Bake near the centre of a preheated oven for about 1½ hours. Cool the cake in the tin for 30 to 40 minutes before removing it. It does sometimes dip slightly in the centre, but I'm assured that's quite traditional. The utter charm of parkin is that it keeps stored in a tin and goes on getting stickier. This recipe, apricot oat slices, has always had a huge following. And at last I can actually show you how incredibly easy it is. Just measure 110 grams of ordinary porridge oats into a bowl, along with 225 grams of wholemeal flour and 75 grams of dark brown sugar. Then 2 level teaspoons of ground cinnamon, and all you do is pour in 150 grams of melted block butter and stir to blend everything together. This is a very useful tin for baking. It's 20 by 26 centimetres and 4 centimetres deep. It also has its own liner, which fits perfectly. Now the really easy bit, you just sprinkle half the mixture all over the base, spread it out, pressing quite firmly with your hands and making sure it reaches the corners. After that, spread out 350 grams of chopped, ready-to-eat dried apricots or dates or any other fruit. The rest of the mixture is sprinkled over to cover the apricots and pressed down very firmly again. And then it's baked, just above the centre of a preheated oven for 20 to 25 minutes, by which time it will have turned golden brown. Leave it in the tin for 10 minutes before cutting into squares and then placing them on a cooling tray. Got any questions? Then join in one of our online web chats.